Good evening, and what a beautiful evening it is. Had no idea it was so nice out. And yes, I'm here at the Bethel Heritage Park. And it's going to be interesting how all of this will play out here tonight. It's my first time doing it outside in the snow. Well, not quite, but it's snowy. Look at that house behind me here. Yeah. Beautiful. And hey, France Peters is watching. Thank you very much. And so I haven't done one of these again for a while. I say that every time. But you know what? It's got to be the right timing. I got to be in the right frame of mind. And hey, Ken Penner is watching too. Rolly Weeb. Thanks, guys, for sharing this evening with me. You know, it's Sunday, but it's an interesting Sunday. Churches are locked down. I don't know when in the history of this province that all the churches are closed on a Sunday. And it's because a government is in a situation where I don't think they know quite what to do. There's a COVID-19 virus. People are getting sick. People are dying. But at the same time, it looks like if you read some of the news articles and some of the things I posted on Facebook, that the federal prime minister is looking at doing a reset. Doesn't quite sure what that means, but he has threatened the premiers of each province that if they don't start reining in the sick and the cases and so forth, he's going to start reallocating money as he sees fit. Well, he does that anyway. Unbelievable what is happening in our beloved country. And I'm looking there, as you can see, the Remembrance Day ceremony, flags, wreaths placed at the memorial here. Yes, men and women died so that we could have freedom. Now we have a prime minister, so-called prime minister, who seems bent on taking those freedoms away. Yes, I know it's also happening here in Manitoba. And but at the same time, we'll just have to wait and see what all of this means as far as freedoms in the future. And I don't believe we will have the normal we had before, but we will have a new normal. But what will that new normal be? Nobody knows. I don't want to be in leadership. I've been in leadership. No, I've never run a province. Haven't even run a municipality, but I've run a few national organizations and so forth. But nevertheless, it's a time we all need to bow down because our beloved God is still in charge. Yes, we can have a prime minister who talks about resetting the structure of the economy. We can have premier of this province who says, you know what, we're going to lick this thing come whatever and high water. And so they do different things. One of the things that really got some people talking this week was, you know, what constitutes an outbreak of coronavirus cases? Well, the province made that definition early. An outbreak is one staff member of an institution. That's an outbreak. I posted the Bible verse where Jesus says, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I'm there. Well, even Jesus had the fact that it took more than one to make a committee took more than one to have an outbreak. But that's what the provincial government, public health authorities, whoever made that decision, has decided to do. And so that's why you're seeing all these headlines. Outbreaks. Outbreaks in Vita. Outbreaks in Grunthal. Outbreaks in Steinbach. Outbreaks in Winkler. Outbreaks, outbreaks, outbreaks. Gets a little sickening to hear it, but nevertheless, I'm not belittling in any way, shape, or form the seriousness of the coronavirus. Yeah, there are some people, they think it's a hoax. I don't. Because people are getting sick and people are dying. Yes, they have other issues, but you know what? In many cases, the other issues would have just helped that person continue on. Along comes the coronavirus and just puts them out over the top. And all of a sudden, things set in and they pass away. My good friend, Dr. John Carr, the most renowned agricultural consultant veterinarian in the world, feeds pigs, 10 countries, anywhere from China to the Philippines to Canada. Not sure if he has any operations that he consults with in the United States or not. But he's in the Ukraine, he's in Russia, he's in China, he's in Vietnam, he's all over the place. Had a long visit with him last night. Of course, he's in Australia, that's where he lives, together with his wife. He was at the swimming pool. And John and I speak ever so often, and we had a long conversation yesterday about various things. He consults to the hog industry. He probably knows and forgotten more about raising pigs, not only health-wise, but economically, than a lot of other people put together. But he's, first to admit it, he's always open to learn more. And such a good friend. 2 or 3 times a year we would get together here in Canada, just because he would come here to consult with the colonies, various colonies across Western Canada. And so we would get together, and we miss that. But we still get a chance to get on Skype and laugh and almost cry sometimes and talk. And he's got a pretty good handle on, because he's dealing with African swine fever around the world, in the Philippines, in Vietnam, in Ukraine. Back when I just started to get to know him, I believe my good wife was still alive, so that's over 2.5, 3, 4, even 5 years from when I first talked to him. I would call him on Skype in various places, and I've caught him twice in the Manila airport, and I've caught him in different airports. This particular airport was in London, England. I think it was Heathrow. And I noticed he was somewhat different attitude. And he had just flown in from Ukraine. He was going somewhere else. And at that time he did live in England. That's where he grew up. But I asked John, I says, what's wrong? Well, he says, I just witnessed 10,000 weanlings die. It wasn't African swine fever. It was PED, and that's a disease we also had in Manitoba. He says he walked into, he was the overall consultant over a number of hog barns, farrow to finish. And he walks in together with the local resident veterinarians, and he starts to see some piglets sniffling, just day-old piglets, a couple of days, whatever, doesn't matter. And they were sniffling, and he says, you know what? Those, and he walked all the way around. They're all going to be dead within 18 hours. Oh, they laughed at him. He says, no way, we're going to look after this. No, it's too late. Once they get PED weanlings, they die. And a horrible, horrible death. So, Sure enough, with 18 hours, 10,000 weanlings died just about in front of him. It was overwhelming, and we were doing a live interview on Skype, and John just kind of broke down because he just saw all of these piglets die a horrible death. So we had multiple outbreaks here in Manitoba. It wasn't one pig. It was a barn full of pigs. And so that was some years ago. He's sitting in the Heathrow Airport. I'm in Winkler, Manitoba, Canada, and we're visiting live on Skype, face to face. I believe I still have that interview, and it's on my YouTube channel. Look for Harry Siemens. But, you know, it's interesting times. African swine fever has taken 400 million pigs in China. And it's a coronavirus. It's a different coronavirus than COVID-19. But John also told me last night that in Denmark they're killing off their mink population, and they supply the world with mink. Why? The COVID-19 virus jumped from a human to a mink, and then from a mink back to a human, mutating as it's making that progression. So, for you folks that think it's all a song and a dance as far as COVID-19 is concerned, it's not. Is it a pandemic? I believe the powers of be have caused it to be a pandemic because of the fear that they have instituted all the different places. That's the only way they seem to know how to get people to wear masks, get people to not have parties, and people get infected. And so they use fear. And then some of us report some of that, what the government reports, and they accuse the media of fear-mongering. Well, yeah, there is a difference. You can give the facts as you feel you know them, or you can blow it up, embellish, and make it so much worse than it is. At Salem Home, one staff member that never entered the home tested positive for COVID-19. The provincial government announced it as an outbreak. It wasn't an outbreak, it was one. But by their definition, that's what they had to call it. And funding for these personal care homes doesn't come locally. Yes, we all contribute taxes, and of course we have foundations and so forth. But nevertheless, government controls the purse strings. And our provincial government, being a have-not province, and sometimes they seem to be proud of it because they get payments from other provinces through the federal government sent this way. And so if you're not adhering to that, those particular transfer payments may all of a sudden decrease overnight. That's what we're facing when the Prime Minister of this country says, Premiers, listen up, smarten up, get it under control, or I will have to do the unfortunate thing of reallocating funding that would come to your province to somewhere else. Well, we know how much money he has sent to other countries. And now he's going to start taking away. I don't know. But nevertheless, it's quite a real thing. No, I'm not fear-mongering. You can watch the Prime Minister talk about it right on Facebook. Well, it is Sunday. as I began this particular podcast, it's probably the first Sunday that every church in the province was ordered shut down. Let that sink in for just a moment. Every church in Manitoba was ordered, not self-police, self-judgment, ordered to shut down for services today. The Pembina Valley Baptist Church and many others continued with their live streaming. And so, fortunately, that continues to be an avenue that we can use. But, as our pastor keeps saying, we can't diminish the effectiveness of meeting together as believers and reaching out to other non-believers through public church services. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. You know, I'm an agricultural reporter, and that's why I did talk to Dr. John Carr. I interviewed him about what he sees as far as the hog industry is concerned. And he said Canadian hog production, Canada is feeding the world with its hogs. And he says we need to make sure our barns are full and keep feeding hogs, because who knows, in a year from now, China is going to need even more pork. They basically consumed all their breeding stock. John is trying to restock the hog industry in China with gilts, no, not breeding stock, just mother pigs that are going to be, or female pigs that will be mother pigs. And it's going to be a challenge. He thinks it's going to be years before things right itself. He also thinks it's going to be years before the whole issue of vaccines and coronavirus and so forth is going to also right itself. Again, that's not fear-mongering. That's just simply stating what people in the know want you to pass on. So, that's it for this time around, for many reasons. I'm getting cold. Been out here longer than what I thought I'd be. And secondly, my battery is starting to show low battery. So for now, I'm going to wish you all a blessed evening, a great night, have a wonderful tomorrow, and look forward to going into this next week. God bless. Somewhere, sometime, somehow, I'll see you again. And that's Siemens Says.